Hello, YouTube! My name's John, and today I'm playing QuadQuake, which, in case isn't obvious, is a mod for Quake, released way back in 1997. QuadQuake turns Quake into a third-person shooter where you can play as one of 4 different characters, or classes if you will, each with their own unique weapons, abilities, health pools, etc., etc., which kind of reminds me of Hexen in a lot of ways, to be completely honest. Aside from that, there's also some brand new monsters, some brand new levels. The whole package is really interesting, and challenging at that. And I really don't hear too many people talking about this mod, so I figured it'd be a good one to tackle today. Anyway, so this first episode, I'm going to do sort of an overview, I guess you could say. I'll just kind of go over the general mechanics of the mod and also showcase the 4 classes and how they work. So let's just go ahead and get started here. Let's go ahead and do a new game. And here we are in the original start map for this mod. So here's our 4 classes. As you can see, we have the Marine, the Enforcer, the Ogre, and the Hell Knight. The Marine is basically the Quake guy, and the other 3 are indeed based off of the Quake monsters of the same name. So just for the sake of demonstration of showing off like the third-person stuff, let's just go ahead and start with the Marine. So here we are. Welcome, Marine. So here's that third-person view I was telling you about. You can also change the colors of the guy if you really want to, as you can see. Standard stuff, I guess. Anyway, so, like I said, and as you can see, it is a third-person view. The controls are pretty much the same as you would expect in Quake, although sometimes it takes some getting used to because the camera is just a little bit different, you know. I mean, you can see when he's strafing, he kind of moves all the way to the side of the screen, which is a little bit crazy. The main difference in gameplay, I mean, the gameplay is pretty much the same as you would expect, but there's one big difference. So in Quake, you know, you're usually jumping around. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. There's that animation where you're jumping. You see that? That's pretty awesome. Anyway, so in Quake, it's kind of a classical run and gun, jump around, you know, high adrenaline sort of game. But in this game, there's one distinct difference that makes it much more of a slow and tactical kind of game. And that's this. So check this out. When you're firing your gun, you move much slower. That counts for pretty much every weapon you got. So, yeah, unlike Quake, where you can just run in and jump around and blow shit up, you have to really think carefully before you attack. And you can't just run into a room full of enemies, because if you try to start running in there and doing that, I mean, you're probably going to get ambushed and swarmed and basically killed. So that's one thing to keep in mind. I mean, it's much more of a slow-paced Quake mod, but I'm perfectly fine with that. Anyway, as long as we're playing as the Marine right now, let's just go ahead and go over what he does. In fact, hold on. Let's just start fresh here. Alright, so the Marine. This is about as close as you're going to get to the actual Quake guy in this mod. As you saw, he starts out with an axe, and I really love that he holsters his weapon too. He also starts out with a nail gun. Pretty much as you'd expect. Let's just go ahead and give him all the weapons he has. So aside from the nail gun, he also has a assault shotgun, which is basically an automatic single-barreled shotgun. Not bad. I mean, it's pretty much what you'd expect, except it fires significantly faster than usual. This is the Uber Nail 900G, which pretty much is the super nail gun. Now, this is one of the more unique and original weapons. It's called the flamethrower, although I kind of see it more as a napalm grenade, I guess. It's not so much a flamethrower as you'd expect. It's much more of a rocket launcher. So you can see it leaves some fire on the ground, and that does in fact do damage over time, and yes, you can light yourself on fire, so do be mindful of that. And it fires in an arc, as you can see. And then there's the fusion grenade, which is an incredibly powerful explosive, so powerful that it can actually do some really serious damage to you. So you toss one out. It takes a minute to explode, but once it does, there we go. Now, do you see that little lightning bolt, for lack of a better word? That is an incredibly dangerous thing to touch. Observe. Look at that. Went from 100 to 20, and we went flying backwards. Yeah, pretty much. Now, of course, that also applies to enemies, so keep that in mind. But yeah, it's a very dangerous weapon that you should not use lightly. Anyway, let's just fire him back up real quick. What else am I missing here? Fusion grenades. So I also really like that you get a little indicator up there, because you're not playing in a first-person view, so the only real model you're seeing is that, right? So you have no idea what you're using until you tap your keys up here, the number keys. You can also, I guess, check your ammunition, but still. Anyway, so that's the Marine. He's pretty straightforward. He's much more about rapid-fire weapons and just kind of, you know, getting in there and kicking ass. Anyway, let's move on to the Enforcer, shall we? Number 2, you can probably expect what this guy looks like. And there he is, the Enforcer. So the Enforcer starts out with, as you'd expect, the laser cannon. Although it seems to do a lot more explosive damage this time around. It's kind of nice. One of his unique abilities that's unlike the Marine is that he has a jetpack. If you just hold down the jump key, or in my case, spacebar, you can just fly through the air. Which is pretty awesome, actually. I am pretty excited about that. Anyway, so let's move on to his weapons. So, we already have the blaster. He has no melee weapon, that's something to keep in mind. However, he does have a lot of cells, usually. In fact, how many did he start with? Let's take a look at this. Starts with 25. Okay, so maybe that's not a shitload, but... you know, the levels are pretty good about ammo for the most part. Anyway. Alright, moving on. So we've got the blaster. We also have the double-barreled pump and loaded. Basically a shotgun. We also have the laser cannon. It's a much faster version of the original. We also choose up 2 ammunition instead of 1, so keep that in mind. Rocket launcher. Pretty much what you'd expect. Note that the Marine does not have this, so the only way you can get a rocket launcher in this game is by playing as an Enforcer. Let's see, hold on. Neutron missile. That creates those little electric things that I was showing you earlier. Yeah, so if you want to create some of that shit, there you have it. Let's keep exploring this guy. What else do we got? Let's see. Rocket launcher. I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, he's got a lot of explosives and he has a jetpack. So if that sounds like your style, then you probably want to play as the Enforcer. He's pretty damn awesome. Anyway, moving on. Now let's get into the, in my opinion, slightly more interesting characters. Let's start with the Ogre. As you can see, the Ogre here, he looks pretty much like the Ogre from Quake, except he has a sort of Quake guy outfit on. So his primary weapon, of course, is the chainsaw. Now notice that it's actually using ammunition on the bottom left, or right, excuse me, of the screen. Uses up cells. Now, however, despite that, it's an incredibly powerful melee weapon, probably the most powerful melee weapon in the entire game. It can hit multiple targets, and it'll probably gib them in the process, so that's pretty nice. Let's go ahead and pull up the rest of his weapons. So, quad barrel shotgun, you can probably expect what that means. A little bit slow rate of fire, but nothing to scoff at. The quad choke basically takes the spread and tightens it a lot. So here's the quad barrel, here's the quad choke. See how it's much tighter? More for sniping, I guess you could say. Anyway, multi-rockets. Yeah, that's pretty badass. Grenade tosser. Pretty much what you expect from an Ogre, just the standard grenade launcher. Here's the zombie gun. Now this is pretty interesting. The Ogre can actually summon zombies to do his bidding. And these guys will track down enemies and attack them. They use cells, about 10 cells per shot. But yeah, you can make an army of zombies. How awesome is that? And they won't attack you. In fact, you can walk right through them. See that? They won't get in your way, they won't fuck with you. They're just there to kill whatever is against you. Pretty sweet. See, that's pretty much it for him. Now, another thing to note is that he has 200 health compared to the other 2 classes that we looked at. So if you want to play a more beefy character, he's definitely up your alley. They seem to disappear after a while. I actually didn't know that. So, anyway, so there you go. That's the Ogre for you. Moving on to the Hell Knight. Here we are. Now, I know the original character is called the Death Knight, but I mean, the concept's pretty much the same. Starts out with a little sword. Does what you'd probably expect. He has 150 health compared to the other 2. The other 3, I guess you could say. Anyway, so he's more of a spell-casting kind of character. So one of his spells is the Lightning Bolt. It's pretty much the Thunderbolt, you know, just in a short burst. Fire spikes. This is more of the Death Knight's traditional ranged attack. Although much more accurate. You can kind of spread the mouse in order to give it a much more of a, you know, a spread. Anyway, let's see. Yes, the Wall of Flames. You can probably guess what this does. It creates explosions, which in turn creates a bunch of fire on the ground, or wherever you want. But it kind of has a, you know, it kind of explodes after a certain point. Now we have the Fireball. long-distance fire damage, basically. Let's see, what else we got? Meteor. Oh, yes, this is a really nice spell. But it can also hurt you, as you can see, and it summons one of those deadly electrical jellyfish type things. Yeah, exactly. Let's try him again. Now, notice that this is all using the same type of ammo, cells, no matter what spell you're using. So, it's kind of like Wolfenstein, where you have to be really careful about your ammo usage. You gotta choose the right spell for the right situation. What else? Oh, yes, a Guardian. So this guy can summon some knights to fight for him. Probably more powerful than the zombies that the Ogre can summon. But not only that, you can also summon demons, which in this game is basically a fiend. So, if you like summoning things, this guy's probably exactly the character you want. A lot of fun. Yeah, spell casting and summoning, that's what the Hell Knight's all about. And having a sword, just to be that kind of badass. Yep, and as you can see, they last for a limited time, just like the other summons. So yeah, those are the 4 classes. They're each pretty distinct, and they're all pretty fun, I have to admit. So anyway, I guess that pretty much wraps up the overview here. So thanks for watching, and tune in next time, because next I'll be actually taking on the levels, and you can see all these classes in action. Anyway, I'll see you then. Later.